We're going to speak this morning about the phrase "chop wood, carry water." This comes from the East. I think there's a Buddhist tradition, and the story typically goes that a spiritual aspirant goes to the guru and asks, "How can I advance and become enlightened?" And the guru says, "Chop wood, carry water," meaning you have to do the daily work, and that there's nothing behavioral that is too that is beneath you, that is non-spiritual, that it's in our daily interactions with our world that our spiritual advancement occurs, and of course would certainly concur. There's a line I frequently like to refer to that comes at the end of lesson 193 that says, "God will take the final step himself. Do not deny him the little steps he asks you take to him." Lesson 161 speaks about how we have to learn a little, we see a little so we can learn a lot. And what this refers to, as well as many other passages in the Course, is that if we truly want to awaken from the dream and undo our identification with the ego and deny the reality of guilt, a denial in a positive sense, then we have to do our daily work of monitoring our mind, being vigilant for all of our ego thoughts, for being aware of our resistance, how much we don't want to forgive, how much we don't want to let go of judgments, and to avoid all the kind of highfalutin spiritual stuff that people get caught in. Jesus told me this yesterday. I had this revelation, and God spoke to me. I had this wonderful experience of light, and on and on and on. And not that any of these experiences are necessarily not valid or not authentic, but they could be really detriments and can really derail you on your spiritual journey. What you want to work with is you want to chop wood and carry water. You want to notice how judgmental you are of people who drive on the highway or freeway. You want to notice how easily irritated you get if a waiter or waitress at your restaurant doesn't act the way you think he or she should act. How annoyed you get when things don't go quite right at home or at work. And how quickly you lose your peace and attribute that loss of peace to factors external to you. It's in the daily working, it's in the day in and day out, minute by minute, even second by second vigilance for your ego, and not tolerating any of what Jesus told Helen early on in the text, not tolerate any of your mind wanderings. And mind wanderings refers to when we let our minds wander from themselves out into the world. In other words, it's projection. And we kind of attribute all of our distress with dis-ease to factors outside of ourselves. And ignoring the fact that if I'm not happy, if I'm upset, it's only because I chose the wrong teacher. My mind chose the ego instead of Jesus or the Holy Spirit. That is always and only what is the source of our distress or the source of our happiness and peace when we make a different choice and choose the right teacher. But what helps us to do that, what helps us to get in touch with the decision-making part of our mind, is to chop wood and carry water. Don't make a big deal about what the world calls a big deal. Don't try to become a great spiritual teacher or a great spiritual healer without doing the basic work. I'm reminded how often in the history of the Course's publication, since the publication, even right from the beginning, people would start teaching the Course without having even read it, or maybe reading it once or twice and then teaching it without doing the basic work of kind of learning to forgive one's ego through the process of forgiving other people, of recognizing our tremendous investment in judgment and specialness as our way of life and our means of identification, rather than see this is all a defense. It's a defense my mind is choosing against remembering the reality of who I really am. You know, I frequently will tell people that if you have aspirations of being a great concert pianist, then you just can't pick up Beethoven, Chopin, or Bach and start playing it. You have to practice. You have to practice exercises, and you have to study, and you have to do the day in and day out work, which at one point might end up with you becoming a concert pianist. There's a famous story that takes place in New York City. Someone asks someone, "How do you get to Carnegie Hall?" And the answer is practice, practice, practice. And so how do you awaken from the dream and return home to God? You practice, you practice, you practice. You chop wood and you carry water. You monitor your mind for the little upsets as well as the major upsets. You not only have to forgive the kind of lifelong special relationships, but you have to forgive the casual acquaintances that you have. What early on in the manual Jesus refers to as the first level of teaching. People that we just meet once or twice, someone who sells us a shirt, or someone who bumps into us once. That, in other words, that since everything out here is an illusion, and everything begins and ends in our minds, no matter what we project out, will always be some aspect of our guilt that comes from the mind's decision, again, for the wrong teacher. So big or small, or significant or insignificant, everything is grist for the mill. And everything is an opportunity for us to learn how to forgive so we can indeed return home.